Quickly, absolutely. Here's the first keynote expanded into about 500 words in four continuous paragraphs without labeling them. Quickly, the emergence of the BRICS unit represents a monumental shift in the global financial landscape, quickly signaling the rise of a new economic power capable of challenging long established systems. For decades, quickly, the world's monetary framework has been dominated by a handful of nations and institutions, with gold serving as the cornerstone of security and wealth. The BRICS coalition, quickly, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, and other potential members, is now redefining that dynamic, quickly, leveraging collective strength to exert unprecedented influence over global markets. This move is not incremental or symbolic, it is a deliberate, quickly, strategic effort to establish a coordinated front that can shape trade, investment, and resource management on a global scale, quickly. The formation of this unit demonstrates that the balance of financial power is no longer fixed and that nations acting in unity can create an entirely new order quickly, leaving traditional players scrambling to adapt. Central to the significance of this shift is gold, historically regarded as a universal measure of wealth and stability. Quickly. For centuries, it has been hoarded, traded, and trusted as a safeguard against economic uncertainty. Quickly. The BRICS unit is transforming gold from a freely available asset into a tightly controlled instrument of geopolitical strategy quickly. By limiting its circulation and centralizing its management, they are effectively removing gold from the open market, disrupting long-standing economic assumptions. Investors, quickly, and institutions that once relied on gold as a predictable hedge now face a reality where access and value are increasingly determined by strategic alliances and policy decisions rather than simple supply and demand. Quickly. This transition challenges traditional paradigms and underscores the importance of understanding the underlying power dynamics shaping global wealth. Quickly. The BRICS unit's formation is a testament to the power of collective action and foresight. By pooling resources and coordinating policies quickly, these nations can wield influence far beyond their individual capacities, turning economic collaboration into a strategic weapon. Quickly. The ability to regulate gold availability not only impacts markets directly but also strengthens the position of BRICS-aligned currencies and trade systems quickly. Gradually shifting the center of financial gravity, the move is calculated, deliberate, and forward-looking quickly, signaling that economic dominance no longer depends solely on accumulation of wealth but on the ability to strategically manage scarce resources quickly. This collective approach is a blueprint for leveraging unity over isolation, demonstrating how coordinated planning can reshape entire industries and national fortunes quickly. While this shift may unsettle those accustomed to traditional market structures, it also presents an opportunity for those willing to adapt and innovate quickly. Understanding the strategy behind the BRICS unit allows investors and nations to anticipate change rather than be blindsided by it. By diversifying holdings, quickly exploring alternative assets, and engaging with emerging markets, individuals and institutions can position themselves to benefit from this realignment of power quickly. The rise of the BRICS unit serves as both a warning and an inspiration. It shows that the rules of the global economy are evolving quickly, and success will favor those who remain vigilant, strategic, and proactive. In this new era, quickly, awareness and decisive action are the keys to thriving in a world where gold is no longer simply a commodity, but a controlled instrument of unprecedented influence. Perfect. Quickly. Here's the second keynote expanded into approximately 500 words in four continuous paragraphs without labeling them. Gold has long been regarded as the ultimate symbol of wealth, quickly, security, and stability, a universal asset whose value transcends borders and generations. For centuries, nations, investors, quickly, and individuals have relied on gold as a safe haven in times of economic uncertainty, trusting that its worth would endure when other assets faltered. However, quickly, the rise of the BRICS unit is fundamentally changing this perception. Gold is no longer just a freely traded commodity available to anyone with capital. quickly it is becoming a carefully managed strategic asset. By controlling supply and centralizing its flow, the BRICS coalition is redefining the rules of the global market quickly, shifting gold from a tool of personal or national security to a calculated instrument of economic power quickly. This shift signals that the era of unrestricted access to gold is coming to an end, and those who fail to understand this change risk being left behind. Quickly, the implications of this transformation are immense for global markets. By removing gold from open circulation, quickly, the BRICS unit is reducing liquidity and forcing a revaluation of how wealth is measured and preserved. Quickly, traditional financial structures that relied on predictable gold trading will face disruption as nations and investors scramble to find alternatives. Currencies, commodities, quickly, and other assets may rise in prominence as gold becomes increasingly scarce outside the BRICS system. Quickly, this strategic control also strengthens the coalition's collective bargaining power, giving them leverage in international trade negotiations and financial agreements. In effect, quickly, gold is no longer just a neutral store of value. It has become a lever of influence, a tool that can shape decisions, alliances, and economic outcomes on a global scale. Quickly, this change challenges conventional thinking about wealth protection and investment strategy. Individuals, corporations, quickly, and governments can no longer rely solely on gold as a hedge against risk. Instead, they must diversify their portfolios, explore alternative assets quickly, and anticipate market shifts that arise from the BRICS unit's centralized control. While some may view this as a threat, it is also a powerful opportunity. Quickly, those who act proactively can position themselves ahead of the curve, securing access to emerging assets, currencies, and financial tools before the broader market fully adapts. Quickly, knowledge and awareness become as valuable as capital itself. Quickly, as understanding the new dynamics of gold scarcity can make the difference between thriving and being sidelined in this rapidly evolving economic environment. Ultimately, quickly, the shift in gold's role from open market commodity to strategic instrument highlights a broader truth. The rules of wealth and power are changing quickly, and adaptability is no longer optional. The BRICS unit's actions demonstrate that control over resources can redefine influence quickly, and that strategic foresight is now essential for anyone seeking financial security or growth. By observing these changes, learning from them, and taking decisive action quickly, investors and nations alike can navigate this new reality successfully. Gold remains a symbol of stability, but its value is now intertwined with geopolitical strategy, alliances, quickly, and the ability to anticipate global shifts. The message is clear quickly. Those who understand this transformation and act with purpose will find opportunity in a world where gold is no longer freely accessible quickly, while those who ignore it may find themselves left behind in a market forever changed quickly. Here's the third keynote expanded into approximately 500 words in 4 continuous paragraphs without labeling them. Quickly, the global market is entering uncharted territory as the BRICS unit exerts unprecedented influence over gold, fundamentally altering the rules of trade and finance quickly. By removing gold from the open market, this coalition is not merely creating scarcity, it is shifting the very dynamics that have governed wealth and stability for centuries. Quickly, the implications ripple far beyond investors and governments. Quickly, entire economies must now recalibrate their strategies in response to a resource that has long been considered immutable. Quickly, as gold transitions from a freely traded commodity to a controlled instrument, global markets face a new reality where access is restricted quickly, and financial power is increasingly concentrated in the hands of those who understand and navigate this emerging system. This is a defining moment quickly, where foresight and strategy will determine who thrives and who struggles in the reshaped economic landscape. The impact on international trade and currency strength is profound. Quickly, by controlling gold reserves and its availability, quickly, the BRICS unit strengthens its bargaining power in negotiations and positions its currencies as viable alternatives to traditional reserves. Quickly, countries that once relied on gold as a stabilizing force now face pressure to adapt. quickly, either by aligning with these emerging economic powers or by finding alternative safeguards for their wealth. Global supply chains, commodity pricing, quickly, and investment strategies will all feel the ripple effects. In essence, gold is no longer a passive asset. Quickly, it is an active lever of influence capable of shaping geopolitical decisions and market trends. For anyone invested in traditional systems, quickly, understanding this shift is critical to anticipating market behavior and mitigating risk. This transformation challenges conventional assumptions about financial security. Quickly, investors who have historically used gold as a hedge against inflation or market volatility must rethink their strategies entirely. Quickly, the scarcity created by centralized control opens the door for new opportunities, but also introduces new risks. Quickly, those who recognize the strategic intent behind the BRICS units approach can position themselves advantageously, diversifying portfolios, exploring emerging market investments quickly, and seeking assets less exposed to this concentration of power. In a world where traditional assumptions about gold no longer hold, proactive adaptation becomes a necessity. Quickly, understanding the geopolitical and economic strategies behind the BRICS unit is as crucial as understanding the value of gold itself. Ultimately, quickly, the BRICS unit's control over gold highlights a broader lesson for the global economy. Influence and foresight now outweigh mere possession of assets. Quickly, the coalition's ability to dictate access to such a historically critical resource demonstrates the power of strategic coordination over individual accumulation. Nations, quickly, corporations and investors must embrace this reality and act decisively, aligning strategies with emerging opportunities rather than clinging to outdated methods. Quickly, the reshaping of global markets is underway, and gold is at the center of this transformation. Quickly, those who recognize the significance of this shift and respond with awareness and agility will be the ones to secure financial resilience and growth in a world where gold is no longer just a commodity quickly, but a symbol of strategic power. Here's the fourth keynote expanded into approximately 500 words in four continuous paragraphs without labeling them quickly. The emergence of the BRICS unit and its control over gold is more than a disruption. It is a profound opportunity for those who are prepared to act quickly. While many may see the removal of gold from open markets as a threat, it is also a catalyst for innovation, strategy, and financial evolution. Disruption forces adaptation quickly. And in this case, it creates a moment where forward thinking investors, nations, and businesses can seize advantage by reevaluating traditional approaches to wealth quickly. By understanding the strategic intent behind the BRICS unit, individuals can identify areas where scarcity and control generate new possibilities quickly, from alternative assets to emerging markets that were previously overlooked. The challenge is not to resist change, but to harness it as a driver of growth. Quickly, this moment demands a shift in mindset. Gold, once considered the ultimate safe haven, is no longer a guaranteed hedge. Quickly, its scarcity now favors those aligned with global strategy rather than those relying on old norms. Quickly, the BRICS unit's approach demonstrates that financial power is increasingly tied to awareness, agility, and informed decision making. Quickly, investors who anticipate shifts in resource control can move quickly to diversify holdings, explore innovative financial tools, and align with emerging economic trends. Quickly, the key is not just reacting to change, but actively positioning oneself to benefit from it. In a world where traditional assets are constrained, quickly the ability to adapt and innovate becomes as valuable as capital itself. Quickly, the removal of gold from the market also highlights the importance of foresight in global economic planning. Quickly, nations and corporations that fail to recognize this transformation risk falling behind as strategic alliances and controlled resources redefine influence. By contrast, quickly, those who study these trends, understand the motivations driving the BRICS unit, and act decisively can transform uncertainty into opportunity. Quickly, this is a time to question assumptions, reevaluate financial strategies, and embrace forward thinking approaches that leverage new dynamics. Awareness and action are critical. quickly as the economic landscape is no longer dictated solely by supply and demand, but by the strategic management of key assets and global cooperation. Ultimately, quickly, the Bryce unit's control over gold is a lesson in the power of adaptation. It is a call to remain vigilant, informed, quickly, and proactive in a world where resources that were once considered universally accessible are now strategically managed. Quickly, those who seize the moment can secure opportunities in markets that are reshaping under their very eyes, while those who cling to outdated practices risk losing relevance. Quickly, this transformation reminds us the future belongs to those who anticipate change, embrace innovation, and act decisively. The Bryce unit has shifted the game quickly, and the question is no longer if change will come, it has arrived. The only choice is whether to rise with it, innovate, and capitalize on the emerging world of strategic wealth quickly, or remain sidelined as history moves forward without you.